As a property manager, you need to know the steps to take when a tenant is late or unable to pay rent. Late fees. Rent is typically due on the first day of the month, regardless of whether this is a weekend or holiday, and is considered late the day after it is due, unless different terms are specified in the lease or rental agreement. Late fees cannot be assessed until at least the fourth day of the month, under the Texas Property Code Section 92.019. A landlord may not collect from a tenant a late fee for failing to pay any portion of the tenant's rent unless, number 1, notice of the fee is included in a written lease. 2, any portion of the tenant's rent has remained unpaid 2 full days after the date the rent was originally due. And 3, the late fees must be reasonable. A late fee is considered reasonable if the late fee is not more than 12% of the amount of rent for a structure that contains not more than 4 dwelling units, or 10% of the amount of rent for a structure that contains more than 4 dwelling units. A late fee may include an initial fee and/or a daily fee for each day any portion of the tenant's rent continues to remain unpaid, and the combined fees are considered a single late fee. Pay or vacate notice. If the landlord chooses to give the tenant the option to pay the late rent, the landlord can give the tenant a reminder of rent due within a notice to vacate and demand that the tenant pay the rent or vacate by the date in the notice. Texas Property Code 24.005. Once the landlord gives the tenant a notice to vacate, the tenant has 3 days to pay the rent if the landlord has given the tenant that option, or leave the rental property. The 3 days begin on the date the notice is delivered to the tenant. So weekend and holidays are included in the 3-day period. So the lease or rental agreement may allow for a longer or shorter time period than 3 days, in which case that time period must be followed. So sending a pay or vacate notice is considered the first step in the eviction process. Currently, under the CARES Act, if the property has a federally insured loan, a 30-day notice is required. So for more information about how to properly serve a pay or vacate notice and continue eviction proceedings, reference Chapter 24 of the Texas Property Code or contact an attorney.